Sam was only 12 years old, yet burdened with responsibilities far beyond his years. Living in the shadow of poverty, his days were a relentless cycle of struggle and survival. Both his parents had fallen ill simultaneously, struck down by a mysterious disease that left them bedridden and unable to work. Sam, with a maturity that belied his age, took it upon himself to care for them. It started with endless trips to hospitals, seeking answers that never came. Doctors shook their heads, unable to pinpoint the illness that ravaged his parents' bodies. Countless tests and consultations drained what little savings the family had. Sam watched helplessly as their finances dwindled, the future growing ever bleaker. His days blurred into a relentless routine of household chores, managing meager meals. Every moment of respite was spent trying to earn a few dollars through odd jobs, but it was never enough to stem the tide of bills and expenses. Desperate, Sam turned to relatives and friends, pleading for assistance. Some offered temporary relief, but their own struggles limited what they could provide. The burden fell squarely on Sam's young shoulders. He scoured the neighborhood for work, grasping at any opportunity that promised even a slight reprieve from their dire circumstances. One day, hungry and exhausted, Sam stumbled upon a group of people gathered outside what appeared to be a shelter. A line snaked around the corner, and instinctively, Sam joined it. As he waited, he noticed another line forming nearby, with fewer people and less commotion. Curious, he hurried over, hoping for a quicker meal. When his turn finally came, the man serving food asked, "What's your number?" Sam froze, unsure of how to respond. Before he could collect his thoughts, someone behind him impatiently shoved him aside, barking at him to move. Crestfallen, Sam retreated to another line and received his portion of food in silence. Puzzled by the mention of numbers, Sam approached an elderly man sitting apart from the crowd. "Excuse me," Sam began tentatively. "I noticed people talking about numbers. What does it mean?" The old man regarded Sam with a mix of sympathy and caution. After a moment's hesitation, he leaned in and whispered, "They're looking for organs. Eyes, kidneys, lungs, anything that can be sold to the highest bidder." Sam's heart sank at the revelation. The thought of selling a part of himself to save his family filled him with conflicting emotions, desperation mingled with a glimmer of hope. "How much could I get for a kidney?" Sam asked quietly, almost afraid of the answer. The old man sighed heavily, his voice barely above a whisper. "Around $5,000, but they sell it for much, much more, maybe $250,000. Sam absorbed this information in silence, his mind racing. Could sacrificing a part of himself provide a lifeline for his family? Could it buy them the time they desperately needed? With a heavy heart and a resolve born of necessity, Sam collected his portion of food and made his way home. The weight of his decision hung heavy on his young shoulders, knowing that each passing day brought his family closer to the brink. Sam's mind wrestled with the weight of his decision as he trudged home that evening. Thoughts of selling his kidney to save his family consumed him, gnawing at his 12-year-old psyche. What if something went wrong? What if he never recovered? What would happen to his parents then? These questions spun through his mind like a relentless storm, leaving him torn between hope and fear. A flicker of a new idea sparked in Sam's mind, a bold notion that could change everything. What if he could sell directly to the buyer, bypassing the shady middlemen rumored to exploit desperate souls like him? The prospect of earning significantly more money filled Sam with a newfound hope. With determination shining in his eyes, he sought out the old man from the shelter the next day. The elderly man listened patiently as Sam laid out his plan. His weathered face remained impassive, his eyes clouded with caution. "It's not that simple, Sam," he explained gently. "Finding buyers willing to pay fair prices isn't easy, and those who deal in such transactions aren't known for their kindness. They won't take kindly to someone trying to cut them out." Sam's hope deflated like a punctured balloon at the old man's words. Despite his best efforts, which were admittedly limited for a 12-year-old boy, Sam couldn't make any headway. Every day, he wandered near the shelter, unsure of what he was even hoping to achieve. Then, one day, the shelter was gone. Sam stared in disbelief at the empty space where it once stood, as if his last sliver of hope had crumbled to dust. He stood there, shoulders slumped, wondering if there was anything left he could do. Lost in his thoughts, Sam trudged down the familiar path towards home, oblivious to the world around him. A voice calling his name startled him out of his reverie. "Sam! Sam!" He looked around, searching for the source of the voice. A car pulled up beside him, and through the window, he saw a small girl waving excitedly. "Sam! It's me, Sophia!" Recognition dawned on Sam's face. Sophia, she was the daughter of a family who used to volunteer at the shelter. They often brought food and clothes for those in need. Sam had spoken to her a few times when she came with her parents. "Sophia?" Sam muttered in disbelief. "Get in, Sam. I'll drop you home," Sophia exclaimed cheerfully. Sam hesitated, unsure. He glanced at the car and saw a middle-aged man smiling kindly at him from the driver's seat. Sophia's father. "It's okay, Sam," the man said gently. "We're headed the same way. Come on, hop in." With a mix of gratitude and uncertainty, Sam nodded hesitantly and climbed into the back seat. He sank into the worn-up upholstery, feeling a strange mix of relief and apprehension. Sophia chatted animatedly beside him, asking about school and his family. Sam answered quietly, his mind still reeling from the recent turn of events. As the car navigated through the familiar streets, Sam couldn't shake the feeling that something significant had shifted in his world. Here he was, sitting in a car with people who knew him, cared for him, and offered him a kindness he hadn't expected. "Thank you," Sam murmured softly as they approached his home. "You're welcome, Sam," Sophia replied with a warm smile. The car pulled to a stop outside Sam's house, and he stepped out onto the sidewalk. He turned to wave goodbye to Sophia and her father, feeling a glimmer of hope rekindling within him. Maybe, just maybe, there were still good people out there who could help him find a way through the darkness. As he watched the car drive away, Sam felt a resolve building inside him. He might not have all the answers yet, but he knew he wouldn't give up. For his family's sake, he would keep searching, keep hoping, and keep believing that somehow things would get better. As Sam entered his house, the weight of his thoughts pressed heavily on his young shoulders. He paused at the threshold, his mind churning with the challenges that seemed insurmountable. Just as he was about to step inside, the sound of screeching tires jolted him back to the present. He turned to see Sophia's father, Harry, stepping out of the car with a purposeful stride. "Sam, wait," Harry called out, his voice firm but kind. "I can tell when someone's not being honest. Why aren't you going to school? And judging by your clothes, you're working somewhere. What's going on?" Sam stood there, his heart pounding. He knew he couldn't hide the truth any longer. Taking a deep breath, he explained everything. His parents' mysterious illness, their fruitless hospital visits, the financial ruin, and his desperate attempts to keep them afloat. As he spoke, Harry's expression softened, shifting from concern to empathy. "Please, don't meet my parents in their current state," Sam urged. "They can't greet or talk to anyone." Harry nodded thoughtfully. "All right, I'll see them without them knowing. Let's go inside." Sam led Harry into their tiny, single-room house. His parents lay on the bed, motionless and frail, dressed in clean but threadbare clothes. The room, though tidy, bore the stark signs of poverty. Harry's eyes filled with sadness. He took in the scene. Stepping out of the house with quiet steps, Harry turned to Sam, his voice gentle but resolute. "Sam, listen to me. I have a friend who is a very good doctor. Let's take your parents to him." Hope flickered in Sam's eyes, quickly overshadowed by worry. "But the cost," he began. "Don't worry about the money," Harry interrupted, placing a reassuring hand on Sam's shoulder. Harry called for an ambulance, and within moments, a flurry of activity unfolded. Sam gently informed his parents that they were going for a checkup. The ambulance arrived swiftly, and the paramedics carefully transported his parents to the hospital. Everything happened so quickly that Sam barely had time to process it. At the hospital, the doctor, a kind-faced man with a reassuring demeanor, examined Sam's parents. After a thorough checkup, he turned to Sam and Harry with a smile. "There's nothing to worry about. They've contracted a very rare disease, but it's treatable." Sam's heart soared. It felt as though he had stepped into a dream. The doctor's words were a balm to his weary soul. He couldn't believe what he was hearing. "We'll need to keep them in the hospital for a month," the doctor continued. Sam's elation faltered. He knew the cost of such extended care would be astronomical. Sensing his distress, the doctor added, "As it's a rare disease, The hospital will cover the charges. Tears of relief streamed down Sam's face. He was overwhelmed by gratitude and joy. He rushed to his parents' bedside, his heart brimming with happiness. For the first time in months, he saw a glimmer of hope in their eyes. Their smiles mirrored his own, and the room seemed to brighten with the renewed sense of optimism. Days turned into weeks, and Sam visited his parents daily, watching them gradually regain their strength. Harry and Sophia often accompanied him, providing support and companionship. The bond between Sam and the kind family deepened, and he found solace in their presence. One evening, as Sam sat by his mother's bedside, she reached out and took his hand. "Sam, we're so proud of you," she whispered, her voice weak but filled with love. "You've been so strong and brave." His father, now able to sit up, nodded in agreement. "We're getting better because of you, Sam. Thank you." Sam's eyes welled up with tears. "I just want you both to be okay," he replied, his voice choked with emotion. As the month drew to a close, the doctor declared Sam's parents well enough to return home. The news was met with joy and relief. Harry arranged for their safe transport back, ensuring they had everything they needed for a smooth recovery. Back in their modest home, Sam continued to care for his parents, but now with the support of Harry and his family. They visited frequently, bringing food, supplies, and much-needed companionship. Sam's parents, though still weak, improved steadily, their spirits lifted by the love and care surrounding them. One evening, as Sam sat with Harry on the front step of their house, he turned to the man who had become a guardian angel to his family. "I don't know how to thank you," Sam said, his voice filled with gratitude. "You saved us." Harry smiled warmly. "Sometimes, Sam, we all need a little help. You did everything you could for your family. It's an honor to be part of your story." Sam nodded, a sense of peace settling over him. For the first time in a long while, he felt that everything was going to be all right. The kindness of strangers had transformed his life, turning despair into hope and giving him the strength to face whatever challenges lay ahead. As the stars twinkled overhead, Sam knew that he would never forget the lesson he had learned, that even in the darkest of times, there is always light to be found. And sometimes, that light comes from the kindness of those we least expect.